kertasnya untuk mencatat jawaban. Oke, udah kelihatan teman-teman? Oke, saya mulai ya.
Have some time to look at questions 1 to 4.
Suaranya sudah terdengar?
Musik ya, Miss?
Iya, masih musik. Jelas kan ya, Mister, tapi?
Jelas, jelas.
Oke.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good afternoon. You're through to reception at the Island Hotel in Crete. How may I help you today?
Yes, hello there. I'm hoping to book a double room for my wife and myself for about 2 weeks, from the 25th of April of this year. Firstly, could you tell me whether it's particularly hot during this time?
Yes, of course, sir. During late April and early May, the daytime temperature shouldn't exceed 19 degrees Celsius. But the weather has been rather erratic and difficult to predict in recent years, so I am unable to say for certain.
Okay, that sounds good. My wife doesn't like going outside when it's very hot. I haven't booked flights yet, but I must say that I'm unfamiliar with Crete and its transport system. Does the hotel provide an airport shuttle service?
Yes, sir. We provide a complimentary airport pickup service for all our guests. It takes about 40 minutes to get here from the airport, but it's at least 60 minutes at rush hours. And you will be provided with a fully air-conditioned shuttle bus.
Okay, excellent. In that case, do you have any rooms available for the dates I gave you?
I shall have a look on the system now for you, sir. Bear with me just a moment. Yes, sir. I can see now that we have several rooms available. Would you prefer a garden view or a sea view?
Well, ideally I would like a sea view room with a balcony. But of course that depends on the difference in price.
Not to worry, sir. All of our standard double rooms have ensuite facilities and a balcony. If you would like one of our sea view rooms, there is a premium of €60 per night.
Okay. So could you tell me the total nightly rate for a standard double room with a sea view?
Yes, of course, sir. For the spring months, our rate is €216 per night. For 14 nights altogether, this will come to €3,024.
Perfect. I also read on your website that the hotel has gym and spa facilities. Are there any other facilities on offer?
Yes, we have a large outdoor infinity pool overlooking the ocean, with luxury sunbeds and a poolside bar. We also have 3 full-size tennis courts, where we run a popular doubles tournament, with the winner receiving 2 all-inclusive spa day vouchers.
Goodness, I shall have to brush up on my tennis skills.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Are there any other activities organised by the hotel that we can partake in? It's just that it's our wedding anniversary on the 30th of June, and I would like to provide my wife with a perfect romantic getaway.
I can assure you, sir, that your wife won't be disappointed. Ours is a 5-star resort, which is renowned for its luxury and beauty. In terms of activities, the hotel provides thrice-weekly entertainment. On Tuesdays, guests will take a minibus and partake in learning to cook succulent fish dishes with our Michelin-starred chef Enrique. The class will take place in a beautiful valley deep in the Cretan hills, where guests will be treated to an intimate piano performance by our in-house concert pianist Pedro. On Wednesdays, a select number of guests will be fortunate enough to explore the mountains by helicopter, before being transported to a tropical Cretan garden by shuttle bus. Finally, on Thursdays, after a fancy dinner, we provide a spectacular fireworks display, which guests can view from the comfort of a cable car.
Oh, wow. That all sounds absolutely wonderful. I shall book the room now, and then I need to look at flights so as not to become extortionate. Would you like to take my details now or later?
Oke, teman-teman. Udah ketemu semua jawabannya? Nomor 1. Nomor 1, ada yang ketemu jawabannya? Berapa derajat?
19.
derajat, bukan, Miss.
19. Ya,
19.
19, bukan 90. Oke, ini memang agak tricky ya, 19 atau 90. Nah, ini harus hati-hati. Oke. Ya, dan kalau 90 derajat terlalu panas ya untuk temperature harian. Hampir mendidih. Oke. Nomor 2. Berapa menit? Ya, 40 minutes.
40.
Oke. Terus nomor 3.
Itu balkoni, bukan?
Ya,
Balkon.
Ya,
Balkoni.
ya, balkoni. Oke. Jawabannya sambil aku share juga ya. Aku ketik.
Iya, Miss.
Oke. Nomor 4.
Nggak dapat.
Tenis.
Ya, tenis apa ada kelanjutannya?
Tenis ini apa?
Tennis court.
Ya, tenis courts. Jamak ya, tenis courts. Oke. Lanjut. Bentar. Di sini nomor 5, learning to make apa?
Cook. Cook.
Fish dishes.
This.
Ya. Oke, nomor 6.
Pionis.
Pianis?
Pionis.
Piano. Nah, jadi kita sesuaikan ya, kalau dia bilang pianis, tapi di sini kan bla 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 concert, berarti ini noun. Berarti piano concert gitu. Oke. Number 7.
Helikopter.
Ya, helikopter. Oke. 8. Nggak ada yang ketemu.
Nggak ada, Miss.
Itu
8,
ya,
10 kosong semua.
ya garden ya. Cretan garden atau mau garden aja boleh.
Oh,
Dua-duanya benar, Cretan garden atau garden aja. Kalau Cretan aja salah ya.
ya.
Oke. 9.
Itu fireworks, bukan, Miss?
Ya, fireworks. Ada S-nya di belakang.
Iya.
Oke. 10.
Cable car.
Cable car. Oke, kalau car aja salah ya, harus cable car.
Cable car.
Oke, kita lanjut ya ke sesi yang kedua.
Listen to English but don't understand anything? Learn first. Forget later. Peace out.
Welcome to English Listening and Vocabulary.
Section 2. You will hear part of a radio program about online exchange business. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Barter Online UK is a young, up-and-coming website in the United Kingdom where users can buy new and used goods. However, instead of paying with money, registered users instead exchange their purchase for an item of similar value. This part is perhaps the most complicated, as the registered users themselves must mutually decide on an appropriate value, with value either being the recommended retail price, RRP, or simply how much they believe the item to be worth. The website has been founded by a group of 4 friends in the north of England. Originally, they exchanged their belongings among family members. They frequently found themselves swapping their belongings when they no longer had any use for them. They live by the motto, "One person's trash is another person's treasure," and hate to throw things away. As more and more people caught wind of the idea and wanted to participate in the exchanges, the group decided that the idea had the potential to become a successful business venture, and so it did. Barter Online UK is a startup online business, which took 3 months to set up, and has now been running for around half a year. Despite only being founded a short time ago, the website has already garnered about 1,500 registered users, with 500 more than expected, a huge achievement for the founders. Some of the users are registered in the United Kingdom and Canada, with the majority from the Republic of Ireland. In order to become a registered member, users must first fill in their personal details, followed by their credit or debit card details, which will be used to take payment of a monthly fee of £5. As long as this fee is paid, users will be able to perform an unlimited number of online exchanges.
Before you hear the rest of the programme, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
A multitude of items are sold on the website, such as textbooks, soft toys and tools. However, books for children and computer games are by far selected most. The exchange process itself is not as complicated as it might seem. Users can enter their preferences for what they would like to receive, and also explicitly state what they would like to give away, and the website will automatically pair up suitable users. If, however, a user doesn't want to give anything away, but would simply like to buy something, Barter Online UK does support a secure online payment system, where users can perform a normal monetary transaction. Despite this, the founding group strongly discourages the use of the online payment system, clearly stating that this goes against the intended ethos of the company. Although bartering is an age-old process, many of the website's users are unsure how to decide which of their own items to exchange. It often helps to order items by popularity, using the filter button provided. This will tell the website to find out popular items for users' convenience. To this, the founding members say, just put everything you don't want on there. Different people have different tastes, and you never know what they might be looking for. In order to aid registered users in their exchanges and to provide them with assurance, the founders recently added a new feature whereby on completion of an exchange, users will be encouraged to provide each other with feedback. This feedback will include criteria such as the quality of the item as compared with how it was advertised, the ease of communication with the seller, the speed at which the item was delivered, and so on. The friends believe that using this method, users will have a more transparent and trustworthy bartering experience.
Oke. Nomor 11.
B.
Ya, yang B. Friends. 12.
B lagi ya.
C.
Itu yang C.
C.
Planning for half a year. Jadi kalau half a year berarti
13 B.
13 ya, B lagi. Terus 14.
14 C.
14 tuh A ya, majority from Ireland. Yang A. Ya. Oke. Lanjut. 15.
A dan C.
A dan C, ya. Ini 15, 16 bisa di ini ya, bisa dibolak-balik. Karena di sini cuma satu pertanyaan dengan 2 jawaban. Oke, terus 17.
Popular.
Ya, betul, popular. Terus 18.
Taste.
Ya, taste. 19.
Feedback ya, Miss.
Ya,
New
feedback.
feedback.
Ya, feedback. Terus yang 20?
Speed.
Yep, speed. Oke. Kita lanjut ke section 3.
Welcome to English Listening and Vocabulary.
Section 3. You will hear Tom and Annie, 2 students, talking with their professor about the assignment. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Professor Tomlinson, may Annie and I please quickly ask you a few questions about the reflective journal assignment? It's just that we're a bit confused as to what you want us to include and discuss.
Yes, of course. What are you having trouble with?
Well, everything really. To start with, what should be included first in the reflective journal? Perhaps suggestions from others?
No. Firstly, you should include the study goals you set yourself at the beginning of the module. This section should have been discussed in some detail towards the beginning of the course by Professor May. You should be able to find her suggestions on the slides she has provided the class online.
OK, thank you, Professor. Could I also trouble you to take a brief look at my bibliography and footnotes? I feel like they're missing something. Most of our friends' bibliographies are longer.
Well, looking at this, Annie, I can see that you have used a wide range of resources, which shows that you have made effective use of communication technology. As far as I can tell, you need not make any changes to this, although you might want to double-check that your referencing complies with the Harvard Referencing Style regulations.
Oh, I'm very surprised you've said that. Thank you. Now I can set my mind at ease. Tom, you said you wanted to ask the professor about the achievements section.
Ah, yes, Professor. In the assignment guidelines, we're asked to introduce and elaborate on our biggest achievement in the past, saying which skills we learned in the process and how these skills can be transferred to various different future careers. The only problem is that I don't know what my greatest achievement actually is. I've only ever worked as a waiter in a hotel restaurant during the summer holidays from university.
If you worked as a waiter in a hotel restaurant, you're bound to have worked with other waiters as part of a team. Would you say that during your time as a waiter, you developed any leadership skills?
Yes, well, I suppose I was asked to become the team leader of the food and beverage department, but that's hardly an achievement.
You might not think so, but if you write that you were offered the position of the team leader, it shows a lot more about your character. For example, that you're charismatic and work well in a high-pressure situation.
I never would have thought to write that down. Thank you. I guess I should start listening to others more often. Annie, do you have any more questions, or are you ready to go back to the library?
Yeah, I think I've got everything I need. Thank you very much, Professor Tomlinson.
That was really helpful. I'm actually starting to look forward to writing this now, and it should be a really useful exercise to prepare us for writing CVs and applying for jobs. It's shocking how bad I am at identifying my strengths and weaknesses. Professor Tomlinson has shown me that I definitely need to start displaying some self-awareness.
Yeah, Tom, you really do. You're always so modest. Modesty is great until it comes to applying for jobs.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Oh no! I forgot to ask the professor about the section on identifying the skills gained through different activities. Do you remember? When it asks you, for example, whether writing an essay develops your study skills or your independent learning and so on.
Oh goodness, we really should have asked him that. I've been having trouble with it too. It just seems like such a pointless task. What do you reckon the answers are?
I think writing an essay might be a way of identifying and resolving a problem, because you have to state the problem in the introduction and then solve it. I'm not so sure about taking exams. I thought they were supposed to develop lots of different skill sets. If I really had to choose, I'd say that taking exams enables you to become more confident in yourself. Do you agree?
Maybe. I really don't know either. What do you think about the last two? Making class notes and presentation notes?
Oh, it's so difficult. I think making class notes has to be a way of becoming a more independent learner, because you yourself decide what the important information is and learn it. That reminds me, I find taking presentation notes is a disaster. The professors speak much too quickly, and I write much too slowly.
That is the end of section 3.
Oke, nomor 21.
B ya, Miss.
Ya, yang B. Terus 22.
C.
E, benar.
B.
C, yang wide range of resources. Terus 23.
Yang B, Miss.
Ya, yang B. 24.
C.
E, benar. 25.
B.
B.
B. 26.
A.
A.
27 yang A ya, Miss.
A.
Yang A. 28.
D.
D.
E. 29.
B.
B.
E. 30.
E.
E. Oke, kita lanjut ke section terakhir, section 4.
Are you agree? Hey, do you agree? No, are you agree?
Welcome to English Listening and Vocabulary.
Section 4. You will hear a talk on the research of the behavior of chimpanzees. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Welcome back to my series of short lectures on apes. Today we will examine recent and historical breakthroughs on the behavior of chimpanzees, otherwise known as chimps. The word chimpanzee is an umbrella term for two different species of apes in the genus Pan, which are the common chimpanzee or Pan troglodytes found in West and Central Africa, and the bonobo or Pan paniscus, which are found in the forests of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Chimpanzees belong to the Hominidae family, together with gorillas, orangutans, and indeed humans. Current research tells us that the chimps broke away from the human branch of the Hominidae family approximately 6 million years ago and remain the closest living relative to humans to this day. More modern researches into chimpanzees have centered on their behavioral characteristics, once all biological and genetic factors have been ruled out. In this way, scientists have unearthed an unfathomable amount of similarities between human and chimpanzee behavior. Although much of this research has taken place through observation of captive chimps, the results are widely seen as an authoritative reflection of chimps living in the wild. Chimps live in large so-called communities comprised of many male and female members, with the social hierarchy determined by an individual chimp's position and influence. Through such research, scientists have found that chimps learn and adapt through observation of others' behavior. Once in power, the alpha male is often seen to alter its body language in order to retain power. For example, he might puff himself up in order to intimidate others, while lower-ranking chimps are noted to behave more submissively and holding out their hands while grunting. Female chimpanzees also have a distinct social hierarchy, with high social standing inherited by children. It is not unheard of for dominant females within a community to unite and overthrow the alpha male, backing another in his place. James Diamond, in his book The Third Chimpanzee, suggests that chimps should now be reclassified in the genus Homo instead of Pan, and there are many arguments still in favor of this. Male common chimpanzees are, on average, 1.7 meters in height, weighing 70 kilograms, with their female counterparts being somewhat smaller. By comparison, the bonobo is slightly shorter and lighter, but with longer arms and legs. However, both species walk on all fours and climb trees with great ease. Jane Goodall made a groundbreaking discovery in 1960 when she observed the use of tools among chimpanzees, including digging for termites with large sticks. A recent study claimed to reveal that common chimpanzees in Senegal have been using spears sharpened with their teeth to hunt. However, these reports remain unsubstantiated. Researchers have witnessed such tools, namely rocks, being used by chimps to open coconut shells, and indeed crushing nuts with stone hammers. As scientific technology has developed, so too has our knowledge of the sheer extent of the chimp's intelligence. Research has now shown that chimps have the capability to learn and use symbols, and understand aspects of the human language, including syntax, as well as numerical sequences. As I mentioned earlier, the umbrella term chimpanzee is comprised of the common chimpanzee and the bonobo. These two subspecies are divided along the Congo River, with the common chimps living on one side and the bonobos living on the opposite side of the river. Over the past few decades, both of these subspecies have witnessed an alarming decrease in population density, with animal activists now working harder than ever to protect those remaining and encourage procreation. In addition, next week's episode will focus more closely on how chimpanzees in captivity are able to learn things through imitating the behavior of humans, as well as how chimpanzees' behaviors have developed over many generations. Thank you very much for attending this evening's lecture. I hope you found it intellectually stimulating, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Good night.
That
Oke. Nomor 31.
Genetik. Bukan.
Genetik, ya betul. Genetik. 32.
Observation.
Ya, observation. 33. Tools. Use tools.
Tools.
Ya. Jamak ya, jadi tools. Oke, lanjut. 34.
Nggak dapat.
Open ya, Miss.
Ya, open. Open the cell of a coconut. 35.
Stone.
Stone. 36.
Symbols.
Symbols. Oke, 37.
River.
River. 38. Density. Ya. Oke, dua nomor yang terakhir. 39, 40.
C sama E ya, Miss.
B sama C.
B sama C.
Ya.
B sama C.
Copying humans behavior sama develop behavior creation by. Oke, bisa dihitung ya. Apa? Karena waktunya masih ada, jadi langsung kita lanjut aja. Ini, jadi kita 2 kali latihan. Nanti kalau semoga aja bisa, ini ya waktu bisa cukup buat 40 soal. Yang part 1 ya.
One to 3. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Good morning. What can I do for you?
Yes, I'm currently visiting this area, but I injured myself when I was doing sport a while ago, and I still feel pain, so I wondered whether I could see a doctor here.
Sure, sir. We can take you on as a temporary patient. I'll just take down some of your personal details. May I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Peter Smith.
All right, Peter. And where are you currently staying here?
At 95 Cross Street.
And the county?
Walkley. That's Walkley.
Okay. And can I have a contact number?
It's 46895324.
Okay, thanks. Can you just wait down there? The doctor will see you in a minute.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 4 to 10.
Now, how can I help you? It's Peter Smith, isn't it?
Yes, I had a sporting accident and a doctor at home treated me, but I'm still getting some pain.
Right. First of all, I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Well, what sport were you doing when you got injured?
Playing tennis with my friends.
Now, I see. Did you hurt your elbow or wrist?
Oh, no. I had my knee sprained, which was the original problem.
Right. And when did this happen?
That was 3 weeks ago now, so it was about June the 18th.
And you said you had medical treatment at home?
Yeah, the doctor said I didn't need an X-ray or things like that, and he just told me to use an ice pack.
Fine. Anything else?
Yes, and I've been using a walking stick to help me get around.
Right. Now, what problems are you having during walking?
Well, actually I can walk, yet I still can't go upstairs, so I've been sleeping downstairs.
Now, you said your knee still hurts.
Well, no, actually it's getting better. It's my back that's hurting me now. It really aches at night and I cannot sleep well.
I have several suggestions for you.
Great.
First, you should put the stick away, as that's probably the source of the problem.
Oh, really? I wish I'd know.
After that, I can prescribe you something to relax the muscles in your back.
Oh, sorry to be difficult, but I've had something like that in the past, and there were many side effects, and I don't want to take it. Would you recommend anything else?
Well, yes. We do have a leaflet showing some exercises you can do yourself at home. If you do them every day, they'll soon be effective.
Great, I'll do that. That is the end of section.
Oke, nomor 1. Nomor 1 ada yang ketemu? Nah, nomor 1 itu 95 Cross Street. Nah, ini tulisannya. 95 Cross Street. Oke, terus country-nya ada yang nemu nomor 2?
Nggak ada, Miss. Nggak nemu.
Nomor 2 itu Walkley. Walkley tulisannya, nah ini. Walkley. Nomor 3.
468 9534 bukan, Miss?
324.
Oh, 32. Oh, kurang 2-nya. 8.
5324.
324.
4689 5324. Oke. Terus nomor 4.
Ni.
Ya, ni.
Ni lutut.
Nomor 5.
18 Juni.
Ya, June 18.
June 8.
Oke. 6.
Ice pack.
Ya, ice pack. 7.
Walking. To walk.
Go upstairs.
Oh.
Ke atas. Upstairs. Nah. Oke. 8.
Back. Bukan, Miss.
Ya, back. Tuh. 9.
Nomor, aduh, nggak dapat, Miss, nomor 9.
9 itu stick. Oke, 10.
Exercise.
Ya, exercises. Jamak ya, Miss ya?
Iya.
Oke, kita lanjut ke section 2.
Welcome to English Listening and Vocabulary.
Section 2. You will hear a tour guide from Pine Garden giving visitors a general introduction to each part of the area. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello, I'd like to welcome you all to Pine Garden. My name is Manuel. Before you wander off and begin your exploration of the garden, I'm going to keep all of you informed of several things about this building. I know you're eager to start your wandering and exploring, so I will try to keep this as short as possible. Firstly, I think I should explain to you something that you can do with your ticket. If you're much more into nature, the optimal section is our planting area, where all the visitors can plant small flowers and bulbs on their own. These plants will gradually grow and then become part of our garden. The activities of planting are totally free. However, if your hands are sensitive, we strongly recommend you to buy a pair of garden gloves in order to protect your skin. Also here at Pine Garden, we use wooden materials from the trees that have been felled in our very own pine forest to make carved goods. If you are interested and want to get involved and try by yourself, you can join one of our bush timbering lessons for free, where you will have the opportunity to make your own keyring with the help of a skilled craftsman. Our aviary is the most popular attraction, where you can see a whole range of bird species. More surprisingly, it is free to enter this section, yet you should pay a small amount of supplement for the entry to the hummingbird section. Also, the insect section that is not very far from the aviary might arouse your interest. There you will find a number of interesting insects, such as butterflies, pocket ladybugs, dragonflies and so on, and there's no extra charge. Unfortunately, some areas are now temporarily limited to visitors today. For example, the gift shop that closed earlier this year will remain out of bounds for another month or so. As I have said before, the restaurant still offers free food and snacks for you, and if you do feel like purchasing a gift, why not buy that special potted bush or orchid from our plant care centre? What's more, our new treetop cafe is now in the process of construction. It will be very compelling when it's finished. Actually, our model town has already opened in advance. That is of great interest to the public. Also, our tourist office is ordinarily available to give tourists many aids, but the officer is sick at home. Please do not be disappointed by this, since our open visiting areas also provide quite an experience.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
I'd also like to introduce our plant experts responsible for the wonderful plant exhibitions here at Pine Garden. Mrs. Mary is one of our specialists, who is personally in charge of our awesome displays that can all be found in the local wild nature. Mr. Burson is responsible for looking after varieties of plants that grow in much drier and hotter climates than ours, which is a difficult task, although it does mean there's no need to conserve water for it. If you go into the glasshouse, there are a large number of plants that he has managed to grow without any need for rain or irrigation. Mr. Smith is in charge of keeping all the visitors fed at our restaurant by growing varieties in the earth and on trees and bushes that are edible. Now, Mr. Nunny here is our specialist on the most universally growing plant in the world, grass. You may have noticed how beautifully green and lush our grounds are thanks to his specialist knowledge. Mr. Akanlan guarantees our soil is compiled with nutrients. All the specialist habitats are hence supported and encouraged. He succeeded in doing this by fertilizing the earth with his special formula that he originally constructed by himself. Finally, I'd like to invite you all to meet Dr. Mandelson, the manager of our landscaping team, who works closely with all the other experts to make sure everybody works together to create a landscape that is pretty as well as sustainable. Well, that just about rounds it up. Now, if anyone has questions...
That is the end of section 2.
Oke, nomor 11. 11, 12. Ada yang
C
nemu nggak?
dan E bukan, Miss.
C dan B.
Oh, C dan B.
Ya. 13, 14.
D dan E.
A dan D. Time Center sama Model Town. Oke, lanjut ke nomor 15. 15. Ada yang tahu? 15.
Mary itu A nggak, Miss?
D. Native plants. Terus sekarang dia bilangnya local wild nature. Kalau 16?
16.
Enggak, Miss.
F.
16 A, karena bilangnya varieties drier, hotter. Kayak kalau drier, hotter itu kan desert. Ya kan? Panas dan kering. 17? Belas itu yang B, karena tadi bilangnya edible, terus menyebut restoran juga. Feed at restaurant. Oke. 18?
Udah dapat, Miss.
18 itu yang C. Oke. 19?
H. Soil.
Iya yang H, ya. H, soil nutrients. Oke, 20?
G.
Ya, yang G. Oke, good. Kita lanjut ke section 3.
When you grow up, what will you be?
Welcome to English Listening and Vocabulary.
Section 3. You will hear a conversation between a professor and two students who are preparing for an English literature test. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Good morning, Lorna and Ian. I'm glad that you both chose to make it. You're the only two who took their names down for this literature test. So let's get started, shall we? I would like to go through some aspects of the novel, The Secret Garden, with you before the test next week. Do take some notes and feel free to interrupt me if you have questions. Hey, Lorna, have you got a spare pen?
Yeah, here you are.
All right. So the story follows two key characters. You should refer to them as protagonists, who go by the names of Mary Lennox and Colin Craven. The story is set shortly after the turn of the 20th century, and the narrative tracks the development of the protagonists as they learn to overcome their own personal troubles together.
That's quite a common storyline, isn't it?
Yes, you're right, Lorna. Could you share something you already know about the character of Mary?
Well, in the beginning, she is an angry and rude child who is orphaned after a cholera outbreak and forced to leave India for the United Kingdom to go to her uncle's house in Yorkshire.
Exactly. And there she comes across Colin, who spends his days in an isolated room, believing himself to be permanently crippled and with no hope of ever possibly walking. The two strike up a friendship and gradually learn by encouraging each other that both of them can have a healthy, happy and fulfilled life. Is there any need for us to remember these details for the exam? Just the fundamental structure. Examiners don't want to read a plot summary. They know what the book is about. Focus on narrative techniques instead, such as point of view.
What does that mean?
It's all about how we see the story. For example, it's written based on what is called an omniscient narrator, which means all-knowing. So readers can feel the same as how all the characters do about things, including what they like and don't like, and what their motivations are in the story.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
Won't it be difficult to perform a technical analysis? After all, it's a kid's book. Well, it was initially pitched at adults, you know, but over the years it has shifted to a more youth-oriented work. In this case, your understanding is correct in some way. The simple lexical items and absence of foreshadowing make the story relatively easy to follow and supposedly suited for children. But that doesn't mean there isn't much to analyse. Look at the symbolism, for instance.
Symbols are things, right? Material things like objects that stand for abstract ideas.
Absolutely right. The author also uses many of them. There's the robin redbreast, for example, which symbolises the wise and gentle nature that Mary will soon adopt. Note that the robin is regarded as not at all like the birds in India. Roses are treated as well as a personal symbol for Mistress Craven. You'll see that they're always mentioned alongside her name, and Mistress Craven's portrait can also be interpreted as a symbol of her spirit. Are symbols just another name for motifs? No, motifs are a bit different. They don't have a direct connection with something the way a symbol does. Motifs are simply recurring elements of the story that support the mood.
Are there any in this novel?
Yes, two very key ones. The Garden of Eden is a motif, which comes up a few times in association with the garden of the story, and then you've got the role that secrets play in the story. At the very beginning, everything is steeped in secrecy, and slowly the characters share their secrets, and in the process move from darkness to light, metaphorically, but also in the case of Colin, quite literally. His room used to have the curtains drawn, but in the end, he appears in the brightness of the garden. Anything else we need to know about? Yes, nearly all novels explore universal concepts that everyone has witnessed. Things like love, family, loneliness, friendship. These are called themes. The Secret Garden has a few themes that all concentrate on the idea of connections. The novel explores, for example, the way that health can determine and be determined by our outlook on life. As Colin's health conditions improve, so do his perceptions of his strength and possibility. The author also examines the relationship between our surroundings and our physical and spiritual prosperity. The dark, cramped rooms of the manor house stifle the development of our protagonists. The garden and natural environments allow them to blossom, just as the flowers do. Finally, this book looks at the connections between individuals, namely Mary and Colin. This necessity of human companionship is the novel's most important theme, because none of their development as individuals would have appeared without their knowing each other. Well, that about sums it up, I think.
That's a great help. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks very much.
That is the end of section 3.
Oke, nomor 21.
Secret Garden bukan, Miss?
Iya, Secret Garden tapi ada D-nya. Di
Secret Garden.
Secret Garden. Ini juga perlu ya, preposisi. Preposisi artikel. Oke. Terus 22.
20th century.
Ya, 20th century. Abad ke-20. Sorry, itu 20 ya. Nah, 23. 23 ada yang tahu? Walking. Never be capable of walking. Oke. Karena kan of something biasanya noun gitu kan. Kalau walk aja di jadi verb. Jadi kita ubah bentuknya jadi verb ing atau gerund. 24.
Motivation.
Ada S-nya jadi jamak. Oke. 25.
Abstract idea.
Ya, abstract. Tapi jamak, ideas. Jadi abstract ideas. Oke. 26. Process, ya. 27.
Dark to light. Darkness to light.
Ya, darkness to light atau lightness juga nggak apa-apa. Jadi darkness to lightness atau darkness to light. Oke, 28.
Knowledge.
28 itu
Health.
Ya, health. Oke, 29.
Environment.
Surroundings. Benar. Ya, mirip ya. Sorry, itu N-nya satu aja. Surrounding. Bentar. Surroundings. Oke. Terus 30.
Connection.
Human companionship. Companion. Oke, kayak gitu tulisannya. Human companionship. Oke. I think that's all karena sudah 19.14 ya. Nanti kalau kita lanjut ke section 3 nanti tidak cukup waktunya. So, mungkin teman-teman bisa dari 2 latihan ini, 2,5 apa ya? 2 meskipun nggak komplit tapi teman-teman bisa memprediksi kira-kira dapat band berapa. Terutama yang tadi ya, yang pertama kan lengkap tuh 40 soal. Jadi teman-teman udah bisa lihat dapat band berapa dan apakah sudah memenuhi target atau belum. Dan kalau misal salah, salahnya di bagian yang mana. Nah, itu teman-teman harus bisa identifikasi. Apakah di bagian matching atau classification atau yang bagian mana. Nah, itu berarti teman-teman harus perkuat di bagian tersebut. Kayak gitu. Oke, any question teman-teman sebelum kita akhiri kelas hari ini?
Nggak ada, Miss.
Nggak ada ya. Kalau nggak ada, kita akhirin dulu. Terima kasih untuk sudah hadir di kelas hari ini. Dan nanti kita ketemu lagi ya di sesi reading di jam 9.